Hi, welcome to an Azure Everyday video. My name is Daniel Taylor, Principal Consultant with Pragmatic Works. I'm going to continue my discussion with respect to managed instances. Upon receiving your email that you have been accepted into the preview program, managed instances are not GA yet. You'll receive an email, and inside that email, it specifically calls out that you need to specifically set up a subnet for your managed instance to deploy correctly. And inside that email, it provides you a link. There's some specific things. There's some things that we need to do in order to properly deploy a managed instance right now within our Azure environment. The first thing you'll notice here is that it needs to be empty. The subnet needs to be empty. It can't have any other cloud services associated to it. We can't associate any network security groups to that subnet. We have to have a specific route table identified for that subnet. You can have optional custom DNS for that subnet. We can't have any service endpoints defined for that subnet. And we have to have enough IP addresses, at least 16 IP addresses identified for that subnet for our managed instances to deploy properly. So let's look at that in action. So over here, you can see that I've already got a resource group defined, managed instance subnet demo, and inside there I've already, to save time, deployed a virtual network managed instance subnet demo. So one of the things I first like to do, if you remember we need to define a route table, is I want to define that route table. You'll see why I like to do this ahead of time, hopefully, but it makes it more seamless when you're creating your subnet within your virtual network. So let's go to all services. Let's go up here and let's type route table. And right here you'll see we have route tables. I already have one defined, but we're going to add one. And we're going to call this one Managed Instance Subnet Demo Route Table. We're going to use my existing Azure Pass subscription. We're going to use existing resource group. We're going to put our route table within this managed instance subnet demo, and I'm going to keep it in my East US location because that's where my managed instance is going to be deployed. We're going to hit create. This is going to take a few seconds to create. I've seen it take upwards of a minute, but this is in the process of deployment, and we'll come back when it's done deploying. Okay, you can see here that our deployment has succeeded successfully. So let's refresh our screen. You can see here now that we have our managed instance subnet demo route table. There's one more thing we need to do here. We need to go to configuration. We need to go to routes, and we're going to add a route, and we're going to call this managed instance subnet demo route. If you remember from the slide, it's going to be 0.0.0.0/0. That's our address prefix, and then we are going to select for our next hop the internet. We're going to hit OK. It's going to take a second or two to deploy that. Once that's deployed, we can now go in and configure our subnet within our resource group for our managed instance. All right, so that has deployed successfully. So let's go back over to our resource groups. Let's go back into our managed instance subnet demo. Here you're going to see now we have our managed instance subnet demo route table that we just created. So let's go into our managed instance subnet demo now. Over on the left hand side here, we're going to choose subnets because we're going to create a new subnet. You can notice here I've got no subnets. We're going to create a subnet. I'm going to just paste this here. And I'm going to call the subnet managed instance subnet demo. We need to provide at least 16 IP addresses, so I'm going to bump that up to 28 there, give myself at least 16 IP addresses for my managed instance. Depending upon how many managed instances you have within that subnet, be cognizant of your CIDR block. If you remember, we are not allowed to have any network security groups within our subnet, and we're also not allowed to have any service endpoints deployed. What we do need to do, though, is now we need to associate that route table that we defined earlier inside here for our subnet setup. And that's why I like creating that up front, because it allows us now to just click on this and choose our managed instance subnet demo route table. Click OK, and it is adding to the subnet. So you can see here now we have properly defined our subnet for our managed instance deployment. So that's one prerequisite that needs to be completed prior to deploying a managed instance. If you don't do this, your managed instance deployment will fail, and you'll have some issues. So do this up front. This was an Azure Everyday video. My name is Daniel Taylor, Principal Consultant of Pragmatic Works. Thank you for tuning in.